尊敬的各位来宾，会议现在正式开始。Ladies and gentlemen, the session now officially starts.
Good afternoon, ni hao. We are here to celebrate female role models like yourself, igniting inspiration. And sorry to the men, you are most welcome. You are also good models for females. You have to remember that. We are scientists, and we need good models as scientists. So I'm May-Britt Moser. I typically do like this, show who I am. I'm the co-chair now of the WLA SHE Forum with the other, and it's an honor for me to be co-chairing this with Professor Wang Huangyang. And I'm sorry for my Chinese pronunciation. I try my best. The advancement of scientific discovery benefits immensely for embracing gender diversity, promoting a broad range of perspectives and ideas, in particular female scientists. We are, in fact, 50% of the population. And we contribute to this movement with wisdom and courage. The primary focus of this forum is to enhance female scientists' creativity and leadership by offering them a platform of self-expression, by presenting accomplished female scientists as role models, and the forum strives to empower, motivate, and inspire, in turn, urging more women to participate actively in scientific endeavors. Don't be shy. Shine as a woman, shine as a scientist. The WLA Forum maintains its dedication to highlighting the contributions of women in scientific research and is once more partnering with the Chinese Women Scientists Association to jointly host this forum. The event is co-organized by the Shanghai Women Entrepreneurs Association and the Shanghai Women Scientists Association. Today, we are delighted to welcome esteemed guests comprising globally recognized scientists, Chinese academies, distinguished scholars, industry experts, and sorry talking about only scientists because I'm a scientist myself. So of course, all leaders are good models and very important. And the young scientists, you are the future, whose participation will enrich our forum with intriguing perspectives and pioneering viewpoints. Please allow me to introduce the distinguished guests joining us today. And when I read your name, if you can recognize my poor pronunciation, if you could just raise up so that we can see you. So the first one I would like to talk about is Professor Wang Huangyang, again. And I know that you are a medical doctor. You are a member of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, director of the Chinese Women Scientists Association. So most welcome. Then we have Mrs. Lu Hui, yeah? She's a member of the leading party members group, Director General, Department of International Affairs of CAST. Then we have Mrs. Irina Bokova, the former General of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Then we have Professor Michael Berry, '98 Wolf Prize laureate in physics. We have Professor Lynn Marquette, the 2021 Wolf Prize laureate in medicine. We have Professor Caroline Luger. Caroline Luger? Okay, thank you so much. Then we have Professor Kwang Ting Yuan. Fantastic. Member of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. We have Professor Kuai Yi. Sorry. Member of the Chinese Academy of Engineering. Thank you for understanding my bad pronunciation. Then we have Professor Cao Xiaofeng. Thank you. Member of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. We have Professor Xu Meifang. Member of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. We have Professor Gong Qi, Executive Director of the Chinese Institute for New Generation of Artificial Intelligence Developmental Strategies. We have Professor Chuk Kuen Nguyen, Director of the Center of the Polymers and Organic Solids, CPOS, Professor of Chemistry and Biochemistry, US Santa Barbara. We have Professor Chen Wen, Deputy Director of the Scientific Satellites Division of the Innovation Academy of Microsatellites, Chinese Academy of Sciences. So, about today's forum, it has 3 parts: the opening ceremony, keynote speeches, and panel discussions. First, we have Mrs. Lu Hui to deliver her opening speech. Thank you for recognizing my welcome.
Distinguished Ms. Bokova, Ms. Moser, and Ms. Marquette, Honorable Academician Kwang Ting-yun, Wang Hongyang, and Chairwoman Qiao Jie, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am so happy to be with you here with all the female scientists and all of the participants who support the cause. I'm so happy to join you at the SHE Forum. On behalf of President Wan, I'd like to congratulate on the success of the forum, and I'd like to welcome everyone for joining us. In the long history of scientific progress, women, with their keen observation, thinking, and perseverance, have become an important force in promoting the progress of human civilization, from the vast universe to the tiny cells, from the heavy machinery to the elaborate chips at a micro level, and from ancient times to modern times, women have written a brilliant chapter of her power in scientific and technological innovation. With 40 million female scientists, accounting for 45.8% of all scientists in the country, China represents an important country in this regard, and it accounts for 15.5% of China's executive committee in terms of representation at international organization. And the China Association for Science and Technology has set up special committees for female scientists to participate in a great variety of activities. We have also developed initiatives such as the Jingguo Action Plan to promote participation and innovation of female scientists. Just recently, we have been working with the Zhejiang provincial government to develop or to host the World Conference of Women Scientists, which has served as a platform for global exchanges on this very important topic. Ladies and gentlemen, female participation is an indispensable force in science and technology progress. We need more participation and more efforts. We need to set up more role models or her models and stimulate the innovation for women, for female participation in science and technology. We should provide a conducive environment for that cause, and we need to build a more open platform to promote exchanges, communications, and to promote cooperation among female scientists, and to develop more relationship, more engagement for all the female scientists around the world. The association is committed to working with female scientists from all the countries to write a brilliant chapter in their career. Thank you, and I congratulate and wish this forum a great success. Thank you.
So thank you so much for your excellent speech. And now we would like to welcome Professor Wang Huangyang. Please, most welcome.
Distinguished Mrs. Irina Bokova, Honorable Chair Professor May-Britt Moser, Distinguished Professor Kwang Ting-Yun, dear Minister Luo Hui, dear sisters in the audience and friends of women, good afternoon. Today I'm very glad that we have gathered by Huangpu River, meeting up in a city which boasts for the beauty of civilization to organize the WLA SHE Forum. I would like to represent China Women's Association for Science and Technology to thank the guidance and support provided by Municipal Government of Shanghai and the China Association for Science and Technology. I would like to show my gratitude to the active facilitation from WLA Shanghai Center, Shanghai Association of Women Science and of Technology, as well as Shanghai Women Entrepreneur Association. I would like to thank the consistent cares, value, and supports given to the women career development from all attention guests. I sincerely welcome you arrive and presence to today's event. The participation in the area of science and technology by women has become the very important force to push the enhancement of innovation capabilities, serve the development of science, economic, and social development. The participation of women has instilled the new dynamic for scientific innovation. In March of 2023, on the occasion of 67th session of the United Nations Commission on the State of Women, the United Nations Secretary General Guterres had called for the international society to take action in his address to bridge the gender gap in the field of technology. He expressed that contribution made by women in the science and technology field cannot be ignored. They have made tremendous contributions to the prosperity and the development of civilization of humankind. The 13th National Congress of Chinese Women, which has just concluded, has clearly presented the proposal to greatly support the innovation and entrepreneurship of women in science and technology field, to provide more development opportunity and platform for them. In the meantime, the Congress also encouraged women to actively participate into the implementation of national scientific and technological innovation strategies, highlighting that the nurturing and selection of female science and technology talents shall be enhanced and attention should be paid to the protection of rights and the interests of females. For recent years, central and local governments in China have launched a series of policies to support the female scientific professionals. In June 2023, National Nature Science Foundation of China has loosened the age limitation of applying distinguished youngs for female researchers from 45 years old to 48 years old. This measure has greatly encouraged the female scientific and technologist professionals. The city of Shanghai has also launched several measures to support female science and technology talents to play a great role. Recently, various exchange platforms made exclusively for international high-class female scientific talents have launched in series. For example, Pujiang Innovation Forum Women's Science Summit, 2023 Zhongguancun Forum, Technology Women's Innovation Forum, the WLA SHE Forum. All these forums provide high-calibrated, diverse, broad communication channels for the female scientific professionals. The world needs science, and science needs women. Women share the excellent personality traits such as being rigorous, meticulous, and creative. All these qualities are very important for scientific research work. The rise of female scientific talent is conducted to enhancing the quality and the level of science innovation. At the same time, the breakthrough achievement attained by women in the scientific research area is also good for eradicating the gender discrimination and promoting the gender equality, which make human beings continuously advance on the path of technological development. As one of the influential community of female scientific workers in China, China Association of Women's Science and Technology shoulder the missions and the responsibility to push forward the exchanges and the cooperation among domestic and international female scientific work groups. Let's join our hands together to build a more open and inclusive environment to create a more respectful and equal platform and opportunities to encourage female scientists to create and own their more exciting scientific career. Let's make more women scientist professionals shine and chase their dreams in the international stage. I'm expecting to listen to the wonderful speeches from you. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Professor Wang. We need diversity, and cloning us will not give creativity at all. So now we move to the next keynote speech, and that is Ms. Irina Bokova. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Professor May-Britt Moser. Thank you also, the other co-chair, Professor Wang Hongyang, and CAST, dear Dr. Luo Hui, for this invitation to come and to speak to this very auspicious forum. I would like first to start that both topics of this forum, women and science, resonate deeply with my experience at UNESCO as Director General of UNESCO, as well as a recently elected patron of the International Science Council. And I would like to take just a special moment to thank CAST for giving me the incredible opportunity the last 2 days to meet and to get acquainted with the achievements of 2 outstanding Chinese women scientists, Professor Qiao Ji, who is sitting here next to me, and also Professor Shen Saijuan, both members of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, and both a very inspiring example of women scientists. Last September, the United Nations General Assembly held the SDG Summit into the run-up to the 2030 that revealed a dire picture. We are far from reaching the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations Agenda 2030. Today, rescuing the Sustainable Development Goals has become a paramount challenge of our era as we confront the cascading crises that threaten even our very existence. The clock is ticking, yes, yet sadly, our collective response has fallen tragically short of the urgency required to attain the goals. It is undeniable that we are careening off course, with the latest forecasts ominously predicting that not a single nation will meet the ambitions of all the goals by the year 2030. The gravity of the situation demands immediate and decisive action to steer us back on track and ensure a sustainable future for generations to come. Global science is essential in this effort, generating the evidence that helps us keep up with the increased complexity and pace of change, developing the game-changing solutions that support the needed critical changes to our business as usual, and accelerating promising actions in our quest for sustainability. Science, no doubt, holds the key to responding to most of the challenges we confront today, from poverty alleviation and no hunger to health, clean water, and sustainable ocean. We need more science, we need more engineers, we need more scientists. Just 2 weeks ago, I was honored to attend the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative and to take part in the think tank exchange. It reminded me of President Xi's visit to UNESCO in 2014, who presented in his historic speech the project of the century, saying, "Spanning thousands of miles of years, the ancient Silk Road embodied the spirit of peace and cooperation, openness and inclusiveness, mutual learning and mutual benefit." And indeed, over millennia, the wondrous story of the Silk Road has been one of encounters between people, cultures, religions, and knowledge. These encounters have shaped civilizations over the ages, catalyzing inventions, fertilizing intellectual scholarship. They gave birth to literary and scientific treasures, to traditions and artistic practices that have been passed across generations. The Silk Road teaches us that science flourishes through dialogue, through the interaction of peoples and cultures, and through the meeting of minds. It prospers in a rich soil in diversity and a climate that favors exchange. The complexity of the challenges today calls for an ever-growing expansion of human knowledge, of new fields of talent, of creating an environment where all human ingenuity flourish. And if the world needs more engineers and more scientists, girls and women are the greatest untapped population to become the next generation of engineers and scientists. This is why education and STEM education is so important. This is why empowering girls in and through science is so vital. Even though women have made tremendous progress towards increasing their participation in higher education, a significant gender gap persists throughout the years at all levels of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and it is all over the world. When we speak about the number of girls and women in STEM, there is a leaky pipe at work every inch of the way. It starts early and continuing throughout the life cycle. Barriers to STEM begin in the earliest years. With poor access to education, 1/3 of the countries globally have still not reached parity in primary school enrollment. Girls and women remain the majority of out-of-school children, youth, and illiterate adults. Once in school, girls face a steep gender bias that discourages them from choosing science. It is not enough to support girls. There is a need for an enabling environment by encouraging families, teachers, and mentors, by making it normal for girls to be engaged in STEM. Today, women remain a minority in both STEM education and careers, representing only 28% of engineering graduates, 22% of artificial intelligence, and less than 1/3 of tech sector employees globally. Without equal representation in these fields, women's participation in shaping technology, research, investments, and policy will remain critically limited. The same challenges apply to their access to fast-growing and high-paying careers, an inequality compounded by the fact that as tech and digital innovation disrupt industries, women will bear the brunt of job losses. Stereotypes about who is and isn't well-suited to STEM play a major role in discouraging girls from entering these fields. These beliefs become a self-perpetuating cycle. Without encouragement in tech fields, girls end up lacking necessary knowledge, thus making them less likely to express interest. We need to close several gaps in the access of girls to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The gap in access, the gap in data, the gap in policies, and not least because science, technology, engineering, and mathematics industries are at the center of innovation and technology advancements. They are the jobs of the future, driving social well-being, inclusive growth, and sustainable development. So globally, women make up 33% of research and development positions in science, but women are underrepresented at all levels of the technology sector. This is particularly so in leadership positions, where they represent only 24% of professionals. And according to UNESCO Science Global Report 2021, female researchers tend to have shorter, less well-paid careers. Their work is underrepresented in high-profile periodicals, and they're often passed over for promotion. Another important area of concern for women's empowerment and equal opportunities is the gender digital divide. We know all too well that in today's digital society we are living in, digital technologies are an essential pathway to gender equality. Achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals will not be possible until we close the gender digital gap. From online learning and digital activism to the rapid expansion of high-paying tech jobs, the digital age has generated unprecedented opportunities for the empowerment of women and girls. But advancing technology is also introducing new forms of inequality and heightened threats to their rights and well-being. Women and girls remain not only underrepresented across the creation, use, and regulation of technology, and they're less likely to use digital services or enter high-tech related careers. According to United Nations Women, over the past decade, women's exclusion from the digital sphere has shaved 1 trillion off the GDP of low and middle income countries. So, women are currently on the wrong side of the digital skills gap. In tech, it's a men's world. And with the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic, the digital gender gap continues expanding in many developing countries, creating a specific need to support closing this digital gender gap. The power and transformational potential of internet access and use is not equally distributed. According to the International Telecommunication Union, of the estimated 2.7 billion people currently unconnected to internet, the majority are women and girls. And there are 200 million fewer women than men who own a mobile phone, according to the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. So women are still a minority in fields driving the digital revolution, in digital information technology, computing, physics, mathematics, and engineering. And these are the fields that are driving the digital revolution, and so many of the jobs of tomorrow. In 2021, the United Nations celebrated the 25th anniversary of the landmark Beijing Conference on Women, Equality, Development, and Peace, and the adoption of the Beijing Declaration and Platform of Action. In this declaration, there was a specific provision. It emphasized strongly the need for STEM education. And last year, the United Nations celebrated, during the celebration, the forum that was organized created an action coalition on technology and innovation for gender equality. The aim is to double the proportion of working in technology and innovation by 2026 and ensure that all girls and women participate fully in finding solutions to these complex problems. So promoting women is essential to craft a new narrative about women in science, to combat stereotypes, to strengthen the confidence of those who wish to become scientists, to promote their career development. We need political will, ambition, and partnerships, such as the UNESCO L'Oréal Prize for Women in Science. UNESCO and the L'Oréal Foundation have worked together for more than 20 years to help empower more women scientists to achieve scientific excellence and participate equally in solving the great challenges facing humanity. Today, more than 100 laureates have been awarded, 6 of whom have gone on to win the Nobel Prize. Working in the physical sciences, formal sciences, life sciences, on 5 different continents, these eminent women researchers are helping change the world through their discoveries, and they are strong role models for younger generation of women researchers. Every year, L'Oréal and UNESCO for Women in Science programs are supporting also 250 talented young women researchers. Through its 52 regional and national programs, our joint partnerships support them at a crucial period of their careers, during their thesis and postdoctoral studies. However, we must remember that there is still much more to be done to achieve true gender equality in science in a world where girls will be encouraged to study science and have the support of their families, communities, and societies as a whole. Let me, ending my keynote presentation, quote from the Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who in his message in this year earlier, celebrating the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, said, "Today, we highlight a simple equation. More women and girls in science equals better science. Women and girls bring diversity to research, expand the pool of science professionals, and provide fresh perspectives to science and technology, benefiting everyone. There is growing evidence that gender bias in science is leading to worse outcomes, from drug tests that treat the female body as an aberration to search algorithms that perpetuate bias and discrimination. We can all do our part to unleash our world's enormous untapped talent, starting to filling classrooms, laboratories, and boardrooms with women scientists. Indeed, science knows no sex, no culture or religion, because science brings us all together around the shared sense of wonder, reason, and curiosity, as well as beauty. These are our best weapons against intolerance, hatred, and violence, and our best allies for equality, sustainable development, and peace. And women should be part of this endeavor. Thank you for your attention.
So I was offered that I could sit at my chair, but I think I need to run a bit. So thank you so much, Irina Bokova. And also I forgot to tell that you are a shining model yourself, being the first female leader of UNESCO. So again, we have wonderful examples of fantastic women here. And for your words, all the talents that we females represent. The next speaker in my list is Professor Kwang Ting Yuan, who dedicated over 60 years to researching photosynthesis and initiated a new field in understanding the structure and function of photosynthetic membrane proteins in China. And the topic is career in academic research of photosynthesis.
Dear leaders, dear scholars, dear friends, I'm very pleased to here to speak about my academic career in the photosynthesis research. Outline. Stepping into the broader photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the most gigantic transformation between energy and mass and earth. In 1961, I got a PhD in Russia from Moscow State University. I just come back to China. I have been dedicating to photosynthesis research in Institute of Botany, Chinese Academy Sinica, since 1973. I focus my research on structure and function of photosynthesis membrane protein complex. From 1981 to 1982, I was invited by Professor Charlie Archen as visit scholar to carry out photosynthesis research in Michigan State University, in Department of Energy, Plant Labor. Sensitive, sorry, it's not change. Sensitive plasmic. I first want to start on speak about 7th International Congress of Photosynthesis, converted in United States in 1383, had a significant influence in my academic career, as was invited as in chairwoman of a plenary session. In plenary session, Professor Mitchell from Max Planck Institute of Biophysics in Germany presented the team's finding on structure of photosynthetic reaction center from purple bacteria. Photosynthetic reaction center is membrane protein. The first time over that, membrane protein cannot reaction. Membrane protein have both hydrophobic and hydrophobic surface. Here it was before in physics, chemistry, and biophysics thinkers that membrane protein crystallization was impossible in solution. The report was such a significant breakthrough in the challenging frontiers of science. Mitchell fit cleared the most with not only crystal of membrane protein, and also analysis of the structure and function mechanism at atomic level. He shared Nobel Prize in chemistry with colleagues Fuber and Dessenhofer. After a conference, I back to China. I report Mitchell's achievement to our advisors, Professor Tom Pison. Professor Tom Pison helped me make decision that China must engage in this research in this field. We invited Professor Liang Dongcai and Professor Chang Wei-Rui from the Institute of Biophysics of JS to join the meeting and to exchange view of personal comparison. The agreement was reached on interdisciplinary research with the Institute of Botany, approach from biochemistry, and the Institute of Biophysics, focus of biophysics. According to our agreement, the meeting was called a concentratory promise, indicate Chinese into this field. Based on this plasmic teams of Institute of Botany and the Institute of biophysics, giant published first crystal structure of spinach major light harvesting complex, published in Nature as a cover article. It was recognized by international peers as a significant breakthrough in the field of science. Triumph over cancer, 2004. I met a husband, who later became an academic of Chinese Academy of Science. When we were both studied in Moscow State University, due to our tight research schedule, we had little time for each other. October, he passed away in 2003 due to a brain cancer. The genius of North Binafo 1 and many years of excessive work let me, but with mid of later stage breast cancer, functionable Tantra successfully removed the tumor. I back to work so after leaving hospital. That achievement of origin. Excuse me, 小杨啊，这个是原来的那个错了哈。
Sorry, there is some version issue because I wanted to change to my latest version, but I think it's okay.
Sorry. 请他们来调一下。请来调一下。哦。
Please hold on. We are changing to the latest version.
请他们来。这个 PPT 错了，不是原来改的那个完全。在前面。在前面。怎么不动？As a chair, I successfully organized the 15th International Congress of Photosynthesis in Beijing with my colleagues. Then, 2015, my teams first crystal structure of PS1H1 from higher plants published in Science. Also a cover article, special committed by Science. Next, my teams published the first crystal structure of diorama FCP, then with Professor Shi Bang at Tsinghua University, together published the first structure of PS2 FCP supercomplex of dianom. Also by Professor Fuch special committee. Then with Zhejiang University, together published the first structure of photosynthesis coming from bacteria. Then also from my teams with teams of Zhang Xin from Zhejiang University, published the first structure of PS1 and the H complex in higher plants, also published in Nature. I think the award and honor belong in collaboration achievement between Institute of Botany, Institute of Biophysics, and Tsinghua University, and Zhejiang University, and Beijing University. My award and honor, I think, also belong to my advisor and my all colleagues. In 2019, I again to appreciation for cancer. Yeah, thanks to experts and of oncologist and well as my well over. After I back work soon, also after leaving hospital. Last, I want to say very genius message to young. Life is not easy for any of us, but fact is that we must have perseverance and or confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that the thing at whatever cost must be obtained.
I was asked to tell you, and normally we shouldn't tell people's age, but I was asked to tell you that Professor Huang, she's 89 years old, and this is just an amazing career, and with all this personal information. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you. Give her a big, big applause. She's just marvelous. So then our next speaker is Lynn Marquette. And she's an American biochemist, molecular biologist, whose research focuses on the cellular mechanism of human disease. And she's also the founding director of the Center of RNA Biology and the founding chair of Graduate Women in Science at the University of Rochester. Please come to the stage. And the speech is promoting gender balance and diversity in setting up a research team.
Well, thank you for that introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here in person for the first time. The last 2 years, I participated in this forum virtually. So, I am the first person in my family to go to college, and when I went to the University of Connecticut, and then later as a graduate student at the University of Wisconsin, getting a PhD in biochemistry, I really felt like I was flying by the seat of my pants. And I have to say, what got me into research science was a very intimidating but thrilling experience as an undergraduate working in a cell biology lab. But when I was a graduate student, there were no female faculty members in biochemistry, and when I moved to the University of Rochester, which is in upstate New York, and was asked to bring in an NIH training grant for graduate students, I thought about what I had wanted as a graduate student. And that was a program for mentoring women. And I began Graduate Women in Science, which I can tell you about later on in my talk. But what I'm going to talk about, primarily I'll use the word women, but what I am saying pertains to all underrepresented genders. So in 2023, why is this still an issue? And I can start by talking about someone who you probably all know, Yu Tu. She won the 2015 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for discovering the malarial treatment artemisinin. She is the first and still the only Chinese woman to have a Nobel Prize. Since 1957, there have been 13 Chinese winners, and those include people who were Chinese-born but didn't work in China, who have won the Nobel Prize. And what Dr. Tu has said is that every scientist dreams of doing something that can help the world. So this is, of course, not particular to men. We feel this too. And it's a fact that when more women become scientists, more people are able to change the world. And this spans all of the STEM fields, including climate change, energy crisis, and our current pandemic, or I should say recent pandemic with the COVID-19 situation. So despite the fact that we all realize that it will benefit the STEM fields to have more women in science, the potential of women is currently still underutilized, and this is true not only in China but worldwide. So some facts: worldwide, only 28% of engineering graduates are women, only 1/3 of scientific researchers are women, and only 3% of Nobel laureates are women. So unfortunately, this underutilization of the talent of women and girls leads to a shortage in the needed expertise in STEM fields. We've heard a lot about that already. But also, unfortunately, data indicate that there's gender bias and discrimination and inequalities reinforced in the STEM fields. Here's an example of a woman who you may recognize, who was able to transcend growing up in an impoverished family, and she started by working in a factory. But she has many patents, and in fact, in China, more than 50% of all patent applicants are now women. This is great. So can you imagine what it would be like if there were more support for women in the STEM fields? This is a woman whose name I won't try and pronounce, but she subsequently became an entrepreneur. She's a self-made billionaire. And what she did was she used her hands-on experience to found Lens Technology, which is a smartphone touchscreen supplier. So when we think about the inequities in the STEM fields, we need to think about ourselves, because we are all part of the STEM educational and professional pipeline. And we need to root out from academics, or if you're an industry or a corporation, the cultural beliefs that run counter to women reaching their full potential. So how can we do this? How can we be more supportive of women? And what I'm going to refer to you now is a 2023 United Nations Development Program. This program has developed 4 steps, I'll outline 4 steps, for the sustainable development of supporting women in science. And in the little boxes, I think you can see that the goal is, I can't read it, no poverty. I know they are looking for gender equity, getting rid of hunger, and other very laudable goals. So step 1 is to change gender stereotypes and biases that hold back women and girls in STEM. The idea is to increase the number of women in STEM leadership, to apply gender quotas at all levels of employment. Unfortunately, 32% of Chinese women scientists have met employers who sought to recruit only men, and to erode the cultural barriers that plague girls interested in STEM education by strengthening support and gender equity. And this has to start, we've already heard about this, in the family, in the classroom, in academics generally, and in industry. So this requires, starting at the base, changing social values, beginning with educating parents and spouses. One of the key messages that I give to graduate women in science at Rochester, which is open to all genders, is to choose a supportive partner. Because if you want to have a career in any of the STEM fields, you have to get support from your home. We also need to educate teachers and professors and employers in the STEM fields of what it takes to not only understand, but to enact changing gender stereotypes. Step 2 is the removal of structural inequities in STEM. And ways to do this, according to the report, is to augment childcare facilities and services, to allow paternity leave and flexible working arrangements to address the loss of female STEM researchers after their first child. The aim is to allow female researchers longer to secure funding. So for example, in 2011, China's National Natural Science Foundation, which is abbreviated NSFC, raised the allowable age limit for women submitting first-time grants from 35 to 40. And in doing this alone, that raised the percent of women funded from 33 to 43%. There is also the Ministry of Science and Technology, which is abbreviated MOST, and the NSFC effort to raise the number of female scientists on review panels and to recommend that females be prioritized when all else is equal. So I think it's important to maintain the same metrics for scientific excellence, but if the metrics are equal, then it is important to choose the female over the male. And in 2020, MOST, with the All China Women's Federation, launched measures on supporting female talents and playing a more prominent role in science, technology, and China-wide. And maybe when we have our roundtable later, we can talk about how effective this proposed policy has actually been. Step 3 is to recast social investments in STEM to counter the slowed productivity or exodus of women in STEM. We have to augment, going back to the idea of childcare, augment public spending on childcare, and also, along the lines of choosing a supportive partner, balance the burden of childcare and domestic work at home, centralizing paternity leave as an entitlement. Step 4 is to promote women as role models who can mentor young girls and women at all stages of their development. And I have to say, when I was a kid and all through high school, I didn't know any female scientists, so I didn't even know what it really meant. In step 4, we need to enable girls and women to build networks and connections crucial to their education and career advancement, and we need to encourage girls and women who have talent in and a love for STEM to persist. Persistence, perseverance is key. So we, as I said, are all part of the STEM educational and professional pipeline. We can make a difference in the classroom and in the lab and in the overall culture of where we work by being inclusive, by including and investing in women. So now I'm going to switch to a science paper that was published in 2020 by Jo Handelsman. I've talked about her in the past when I've spoken in the SHE Forum. She is a Yale investigator who is very much interested in gender equality. And in this science paper, it is discussed that in the United States, more than half of the approximate 600,000 students who state that their interest to major in STEM when they start college end up switching before they graduate. And this is not likely to be due to financial reasons, it's that they become discouraged. So how are we going to counter this for women? We can improve our teaching practices. We can go beyond lectures and introductory courses to in-class discussions and practical problem solving, which is a form of active learning. I've already told you that the way that I realized I wanted to be a scientist was to be in a research lab. And I definitely have the feature of being persistent because I did find working in the research lab extremely intimidating, but I was also excited about it. And so I worked beyond my fear and my question of was I able to or not to persevere, and that has served me well. I'm an overachiever, so I overstudied, and I'm the kind of person who thinks I know much less than I need to know, but having trained many students, I think it's much easier to work with a student, a graduate student at any level, a postdoc, who feels that they have so much to learn rather than they feel like they know a lot already, and that's probably enough. It's okay to feel like you're still in the process of learning, and we all are. Even as a full professor and the ripe age of, I won't tell you, I'm still learning. So we need to have welcoming classrooms rather than classrooms that send a weed out or not welcome mentality. And they should send the vibe of being inclusive to women so that women feel that they belong. There should be content relative to women. Even in the United States, the NIH has a history of supporting research on men-centric problems relative to women-centric problems. We also need to have an infrastructure that includes female instructors, professors, and academic leaders, and again, affordable childcare. So what I'm talking about is building a persistence framework for young girls. We should start when they're young and carry this through high school and graduate school and postdoctoral training so that confidence can be built. There can be a belief in one's abilities. We have to build motivation. So, okay, you like this? Let's take the actions that are required to pursue your goals. Mentoring is key. We need to build learnings. We need to educate and invest in women acquiring knowledge and skills. And we need to build a professional identification so that women at all levels feel like they're a scientist. And this is a system that feeds on itself and perpetuates itself. So what do I do at Graduate Women in Science? I'm going to end here without doing that. As you heard from Irina, we have a leaky pipeline in the United States. It exists in China. It exists in many, many countries. And what that refers to is the fact that compared to men, fewer women who earn a PhD degree go on and use that degree in a career. And what we do is we bring in usually women, but it's also important to bring in men, and I'm so happy to see some men here. We need more men here because still you guys are the primary decision makers, so thank you for being here to understand what the issues are. We bring in individuals who talk about how they've balanced their career with their personal life, and we get to see that life doesn't always happen the way you think it will. you definitely need to make a plan. As my brother who's in finance says about money, it's also true for your life. You should make a 6-month plan and a 1-year plan and a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. But you need to have flexibility because when life throws you a curveball, it's maybe okay, and it's probably going to be okay, and you can make it okay. It's not without pain, it's not without struggle, but the idea is to persevere. And so we bring in people who have used a PhD degree to very different ends. They can be in academic, heavily research-centric places like the University of Rochester Medical Center where I work, clinical diagnostics, forensics, grant management, industry. You can become an editor of a journal. You can go on and get a law degree and become a patent lawyer. It's a very lucrative profession. There's program development. There's program development through the National Institutes of Health, and I'm sure through the Chinese government and other agencies as well. You can become a science writer. It's very important to educate the lay public, and many other things. And what I want to end with is talking about the imposter syndrome. It's the dreaded fear factor. It's the general feeling that women can have. Men suffer less from it, although I think some do, is that you're never good enough. And what I have to say to that is that if you believe in what you're doing, it is okay to work outside of your comfort zone. What you want to do is you want to be well prepared, and you always want to do your best. Volunteering for something when you're capable, especially administratively, in organizing a meeting or chairing a session, is the way to go. Ask to do things, and you would be surprised how welcome you will be. So thank you for listening, and I think this is a wonderful event.
Thank you so much, Lynn. So then we have the last speaker, Professor Kuei Yi, who's research specializing molecular mechanisms of human gametogenesis and embryo development, that causes infertility and clinical treatments, preservation and protection of female fertility, and the development of new pre-implantation diagnosis techniques. Her upcoming speech is Female Power in Talent Cultivation and Scientific Research for People's Life and Health. Please welcome Professor Kuei Yi.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Qiao Jie from Peking University. And first, congratulations, the morning big events, and 2 female scientists won the big prize. And they also inspire the Chinese female scientists. So the noon, I will put this slides first. And I'm a gynecologist. As a doctor, I learned and working in Peking University 42 years. So today I choose the topic female power in talent cultivation and scientific research for people, life, and health. And people life health are the most simple pursuit of human life, and scientific research already had a significant impact on the life and health. And also the advanced science and technology will have a great impact on our life. And of course, she is very important for the science and education, because women are mothers, wives, and inheritor of social development. And also the characteristic of women are resilient and persist in caring for others, inclusive and united. And when women become a doctor, a scientist, and leaders, it's a collation and fusion of gender and strength and sensibility and speculation. So there is many women through history have driven numerous changes in development of the medical technique. And also many women play a very important role, not only the ladies on the screen. As the site here brought Moss, Mei Fang Zhu, and Bokwa, and Professor Wang Hongyang, and Kuang Yanyun, and Marquette, and so on, and Xiaofeng Cao. So many of women already done a good job, but new era, and women should also pay more attention to cultivating our leadership and believe that we can do very well. I'm so lucky from the Peking University, graduate from Peking University, and just the 1981, the year I began working in the third hospital, and just this year, my supervisor, Professor Li Zhang, established a platform treatment for the infertility patients and first tube baby delivery in our hospital. You know, that time, as the family control policy in China, one family, one child, but infertility affected the most family's life. So the Professor Zhang chose this tough topic to continue to do that infect us. And from generation to generation, we continue to do the clinical work and research. And now we become the biggest one in the world for the reproductive treatment and research. And you'll see about 600 people, and about 80% are female. Now, per year, 500,000 patients comes out in our hospital, and also not only the quantity, but also the quality get a high level and helps the persons. And you can see in China also nearly 1 million per year treatment cycle help the infertility couples. But successful rate only 40%. So many people have to recurrent come back to seek the treatment. And that's the reason, as a doctor, I back to the biology of reproduction, physiology and pathology to do the research to solve the problem, how to help more patients, and also prevention the birth defect, and also have a chance do the excellent research work and share with the international experts. And so we have a chance to do the multi-omic sequencing in reproductive development, cooperation with the Professor Sunny Xie. He already present the morning. And we develop a new pre-implantation genetic test and to also do the epigenetic, genetic mechanism research. And so far, PGT have applied in the nearly 500 monogenetic disease worldwide, and do more clinical work can help the people before we cannot help. And also have a chance to change some policy. You can see that's the 2014 President Xi Jinping visit Peking University on National Young's Day, and we have chance to report the reproductive medicine, the challenge face of China, and fortunately, and 2015, the second children policy already announced and help the patients. And also 2020, the symposium attended by the experts from the education, cultural health, and the sport sectors. And also just after 1 year, and 2021, the third children policy introduced. And last year, you can see gradually the policy established, such as lowering education cost, hosting nursery care service, and protecting women's working rights. And we also have a chance to organize the Lancet Commission on the reproductive team, prenatal, adolescent, and children in China. And also thank you very much for the international experts from United States, UK, Australia, and Canada. Actually, we took working together 3 years and give this commission. And for the 17 years, China's women children health care development, and also the challenge and the lessons can share with the developed and developing country. And so we also have more chance to, as experts leadership, and expand the influence and let the world witness the Chinese female scientists. And I'm also happy, just last month I go to the London to attend the Lancet's 200th anniversary reception. And I have a chance to serve as a hospital director for 10 years. And these 2 years also as the executive vice president responsible for the medical education and research. And continues at the same goal for the teams can, like the hospital, the medical work increase quality, and ranked first in outpatient and emergency treatment volume in Beijing for 5 consecutive years. And also hospitals revenue and persons expense continue to grow. Important for this occupation be respected, and for the research funding and number approved project and so on continue. But not many women can get this chance for develop and give the individual volume to realize. You can see from these slides the proportion of women in high-level leadership position in healthcare industry in lower. And as a leader of Peking University Health Science Center, we try to strengthen the education and international cooperation and sharing. And our University Medical Health Center have 5 schools and 10 university affiliate hospital, and training the students and younger scientists and so on. And on campus school, there is medical basic science, pharmaceutical science, and public health, and also nursing and health humanities. And for the clinical medicine, 3 general hospitals, 3 special hospitals, and also have 4 co-established with the local government and company, so can continue to run the institute leading in higher medical education in China, but to the top of the global, we need to do more things to continue to do. And of course, the quality gradually increased with this 10 hospitals serve a lot of patients and run #1 in Beijing. And but how can do creating the spiritual connotation of PKU HSC, but also actually as the example in the China's university, and we try to put in virtual first and endless exploration and dedicated and credible and always innovation. So you can see the proportion of female graduate students in PKU HSC about the doctor is about 60%, and also female master students, and for the teachers also as about 40, and we have 52 teachers can get the female teachers can win the graduate teaching award. And we also have very good example of standing female alumni in PKU HSC. This famous in women health and children, and also you know the 2UU very well. And we hope the second generation also have more female. That's the last years we gave the second outstanding young doctor in Peking University. You can see about 50% as a woman. So we encourage them to continue and to try to increase the cooperation in the younger training program, and set up some clinical medical plus X, let them become backbone, and also give some medical science and technology research project to make achievements further, and hope them become a leader. Is also like a topic they simply develop project. And now we do more international cooperation. Already have 100 overseas university and institute, and more than 40 strategy partners. And that's the picture for that. And we try to opening and sharing with the international, and also it has a high quality cooperation of graduate education among the developing country. And this year's PKUHC active international exchange and cooperation, and exploring and practice more for provide a favorable policy and exclusive channel for decision making. So we can intensive study, collaborative sharing, leading the team and take risks, and developing platform established, and try to cultivating women in science, education, and leadership. And so science lead change and reshaping world science, and the world and science need women. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Professor Chiao. Is that better? Chiao? And thank you all for your fantastic speaks. Now we are allowed to leave the room for 15 minutes. There's a tea break, and then Professor Wang will take over when we come back. So Enjoy your break.
Should we
尊
stand
敬
up?
的各位来宾，会议现在正式开始。Ladies and gentlemen, the session now officially starts.
尊敬的各位来宾，
Distinguished guests, professors, leaders, doctors, and girls and boys.
the next step, just like Dr. Morrison said, this is the third part of this She Forum. 我好像应该讲中文。
So I'm gonna switch to Chinese. In the first half of the afternoon session, we had the privilege of hearing presentations from 4 speakers. They shared their life stories, their experiences as female scientists, as well as their thoughts and ideas about how to cultivate the next generation of female scientists. And indeed, it was a very informative half of the afternoon session. In the next 60 minutes or so, we're going to have a panel discussion. We have outstanding professors and experts who are panelists today. Will cover topics of common interest. Science needs women, and women need understanding, need support, and need care and attention of society, science, economy, and everything else needs female contribution. We'll begin our panel discussion. First of all, I'd like to invite our panelists, Professor Michael Berry.
Professor Chen Wen, Professor Gong Ke, Professor Caroline Luger. So warmly congratulations to Professor Luger, and who is the winner of today's this WLA Forum. And Professor May-Britt Moser, the host, co-host, co-chair, welcome you. And Professor Linda Marquardt, please. And Professor Wan Shu Juan. Professor Zhu Meifang. So welcome you all, and please take the seat. Welcome you. 我们刚才
So fantastic. We heard 4 presentations before this panel discussion, and we're now going to dive a bit deeper, but with, of course, concise discussion in the interest of time into a few very important topics. Now, first question is assessing the cut gender balance. And I think this issue has been touched upon.
Could you tell us some ideas about this theme? You have?
Me?
Yes. Thank you.
So, what I think about, I forgot the question, so could you just repeat it?
About gender balance in the science and technology.
Of course, that is what we discuss here. So, as we heard earlier today, if you don't use the talents from the 50% of the population, it's a big waste. That's the one thing. And the second thing is that if we want creativity, that we need both in industry, in science, in politics, then we need diversity. And it's not only about genders, it's about different cultures, different ways of thinking. So in order to make success, and success is not earning money only or such things, but in order to change the world, we need the ideas from a diverse population. It's not sufficient that only 50%, for example, are allowed to raise their voice. So I think this is very important, and I think that the expectations that we have to ourselves are also a reflection of the expectations from the society. And that is what we learned today, that if people don't expect you to have success, you have to be twice as good as if people expect something from you. So let us facilitate and expect that we do well. And I think we do that, and together we are so strong.
Yes, let's do it together. We are very strong and become stronger and stronger. So today we will also invite the Friends of Women to join us for the discussion. So please, Professor Gong Ke, could you give some idea about this statement?
Thank you so much. Since we have simultaneous interpretation,
use my mother tongue and to express my ideas. I think it's more convenient for me, for myself.
Thank you. So on gender equality, perhaps I can use my workplace as an example. I work at Nankai University, where you have 45%, 35% and 35%. 45% means the percentage of female faculty who are on the payroll. And of all the faculty, the tenured professors or tenured faculty are 35% female. And then full professorship, female representation is 35%. So that is 25%. So that's actually, I think, an example, or that echoes with, I think, one of the presentations earlier. And in my point of view, the biggest barrier is stereotypes. That is, STEM is simply the job of the lesser sex.
So that's why when I was the principal, I did two things to try to change the stereotypes. The first is to set up female models, the role models of female scientists. So when we appreciate the young faculty, we would choose female faculty as role models to show that the female faculty can also do well. Like we have a very good data scientist who works with Baidu, the big internet company in China. A lot of IP contributions is from this Professor Yuan and her team. She is a role model in computer science. And the second, to change stereotypes. We all have stereotypes, but as the university, we need to start with the human resource department. So with the human resource department, with the training centers, they must understand the importance of gender equality. If we say science needs female, then science education needs female even more because that is about the future generation. So in the human resource department, we change stereotypes first. That's what I did. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Gong. Well, just now, we have already talked about it, so yeah, we won't spend too much time on it. Our second topic is we've noticed from Nobel laureates to other laureates, among them, we have all seen female winners, and female winners account for a higher and higher proportion. In scientific progress, female have made great and irreplaceable contributions. So I want to have your ideas on motivation. How can we motivate female to work more in science and technology and to the STEM as a whole? What kind of motivating mechanisms do we need? How can we do to have more female people, especially in STEM? Let's start with Luger.
Share your idea and suggestions. Thank you.
I think it starts very early with the stereotyping in elementary school and then going on to middle school. So I think having strong role models and women scientists who do outreach and go to these schools and present themselves as human beings and scientists and women is really a powerful way to get more girls interested in STEM sciences. Also, the perception that STEM is male-dominated because the male brain, for some reason, is better suited to it, really has to be eradicated, and that is very, very deep-seated. So I think it starts very early on. And I think all of us, have to work probably pretty hard to convince girls that this is a very viable profession and one that's a lot of fun and one that's really well suited to women. So that's where I would start.
Thanks a lot. Professor Chen Wen could ideas. So you are the young scientists here.
Hello. Okay. Yeah, I'm from space engineering. Actually, it's an area dominated by male, not by female. It's, but I think I agree, cannot agree more about the example power, because when we was child and when we had the education, female models like as quoted by Ms. Kwang this morning about Ju Li Furen. Those examples are exciting when we had the education. I think these models are very important and also in our career life to have a female who can work very well. For example, in space, we not only have male astronauts, we also have female astronauts flying in the several hundred kilometers above us. So it's exciting to have these models. And another aspect I would like to address is that as also introduced by Ms. Quelling. So I think in practical, it's important to have this paternity leave policy. Because 2 years ago, when I had my first baby, before that, I do not feel.
How many babies do you have?
Only one. Yeah, I had my first baby when I was 40. So before I was 40, I did not feel any gender imbalance for myself. I think we can work as like a male does. But after that, I do feel that that is different, and I think that's the humankind. Female and male do different things, and I do think it's very important to have such policy, because when we have a policy to have this parent leave, only for women, it's already discrimination. And if this can be changed, it would not bring the discrimination when we choosing female or male when we do the employment, which is very important, I think, in practice.
Thank you. For this time, if somebody also have the new idea or suggestion, please, yeah.
I think it's important to start with the parents, because parents, if they haven't, the concept that it's possible for girls, their kids, their female kids, to be scientists, and they may not understand what science is. I didn't really understand what science was until I went to the university, because high school science is very important, I have to say, but it's not like research science. And so we can't expect the parents necessarily, unless they were scientists themselves, to really understand what it means to be a scientist. And there certainly are cultural barriers to girls becoming mathematicians or scientists or engineers. And I think parents want security for their kids. But I think, and this is what I talk about in Graduate Women in Science, the way girls and women can be most secure is to be able to take care of themselves financially. And so no matter whether they go into a STEM field or something, I think it's important for them to have an education to fall back on, because you never know what the future will bring. We don't hope it on anyone, but I went through a divorce. I didn't start out with a tenure track position, and there are reasons for that. But I couldn't even afford the house that I lived in, because my husband at the time was making twice as much money that I was, even though I had a stronger CV, and I was afraid to rock the boat. And so I encourage women to be able to take care of themselves financially, because you don't know what the future will bring.
Okay, please.
So we talked about a pipeline earlier, and so I agree. So that's what I spend a lot of time to do outreach at local school and do something fun. We teach kids science but connect to the real life. And I also take high school teacher to my lab to do research in the summer. I also take high school students in my lab. But beside that, we need to go beyond that. So I also offer one-on-one coaching, career coaching. So 1 day per month, I on Zoom with people all over the world. And right now, I'm coaching 54 professors and postdocs around the world. And some of them I never met. And I do that because, like you said, we need to help them and guide them. Not just only they become a professor, but also we run into many challenges at the faculty. And just to be able to have somebody to help them or to guide them, I think we need to work all the way up. And so I think that also very important. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for discussion. Because we very limited time, we move to the next question. 我们现在呢也非
Well, now we also pay great attention, and we have also noticed that female scientists, in their growth compared with males, they are different, especially after they have families, they give birth to children. If you have like 2 to 3 children, then you are faced with many challenges. That is also what young moms are faced with. If they are moms, they are also scientists, then they are faced with many challenges. But especially in STEM, still, in different areas, there are hidden bias. And there are hidden bias in STEM fields as well. And there are glass ceiling when girls grow up, prohibiting these girls from full growth. So, yeah, any volunteer to take this question? Or maybe I can start with Professor Chu first. Yeah, I'd like to thank moderator to point to me. I studied materials. So for what you said, I have personal experience because when I went to different meetings, usually I am the only female there because in materials, yeah, I'm always the only female. Just now I listened to 4 keynote speeches and I feel that you've already answered this question. In STEM, I also tried to look back the reasons, like now we mentioned the loopholes in pipelines. For middle schools in their 15s, the proportion shows the boys are 51%, girls are 49%. And when it comes to like STEM graduates or even the STEM work, males are 70%. Then in the professor, like 90% are males. Only 10% is female. At Nobel laureates, like today, we have Nobel laureates as well. Only 3% laureates are female. Yeah, so from 49% to only 3%, while male increased from 51% to 97%. These are all in STEM fields. How do we solve these issues? I listen to you and I feel that, well, there are 3 things. The first is, well, we have different physical attributes and we need to objectively understand it. Like females, we are more sensitive and we are different in dealing with different things. And these differences should not be bias or stereotypes, like someone would say females are not suitable for STEM, only males are suitable. So we need to change this hidden bias. Yeah, we need to turn hidden bias into cooperation. So males and females can work together for better results. In STEM fields, we need males as well as female. Like Gong just said, it's not just us. So also today we have 2 boys joining us. I hope in the future there can be more boys joining us. Number 1 and number 2. Like other panelists mentioned, we need to be more confident. From I'm afraid to I can do everything. Yeah, we must be confident. For females, we need to understand we can do as well in STEM. And we need to start from very early. Especially, also I went to the Women Federation to discuss the family, the education, the role of moms. Don't think girls cannot do it. And the teacher would say, you are a girl, you cannot do that. No, we cannot say that. From I'm afraid to I can do everything. This confidence is, I think, for every girl very important. That's why last year, especially in UNESCO, it asked us to do science popularity. So I started to say that we need to be confident since early.
The third thing is, I think, from I can do to we can do. And that is about leaving your legacy. It's about setting a role model for your fellow female scientists. And I think, this is a great forum that we're having, but we need more activities such as this to really give play to the power of role play. President Xi, I think, put it very well. Women are the contributor and the driver of society, and we are need to be just as active in STEM. Thank you.
Betty, could you please?
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here and witness a peaceful revolution, very welcome revolution, which is women beginning to take rightful place among the world community of scientists. A few personal remarks which I hope will be of interest, but I don't claim generality for them. I'm a physicist. I work in the physics department in Bristol University in England. On the walls of the department are photographs of the department at different periods in its history. The first one was 1897. Department was small, about 25 people. 40% of those people were women. Astonishing. We don't know who they were. We don't know who the men are, possibly one. Certainly they weren't secretaries. In those days, there would be only at most one secretary and probably a man. But this was never repeated. Okay. In the many decades that followed, it was a male-dominated desert. Now, I came to Bristol 58 years ago, during that male-dominated time. There were a few graduate students. They would graduate, maybe be a postdoc, then they would disappear from science. This is a known phenomenon. What a transformation now, in recent years. We now have many women in the department. The atmosphere is much more human. The conversations, which were never of the male stereotype type, we didn't speak about cars and football, we talked about physics. Well, it's the same now. Why should it be any different? Very, very good. Of 200 people in the department, from graduate students to professors, and the head of department is a woman now, the first one, about 25% are women. Not enough, but a huge transformation from essentially zero. Recognition. The Institute of Physics awards prizes every year. The last 2 years' data, there were about 100 prizes, 31% of them went to women. At the very highest level, which is important because of the old times when women would leave the profession for whatever reason, at the highest level are the premier awards of the Royal Society of London. Now, I'm on the committee that selects those prize winners. These are some of the most prestigious prizes in the world, the highest ones from the Royal Society. The last 3 years' data, 27% women. Again, not enough, but a huge improvement. Now, it's been mentioned several times that role models are very important. And so every one woman, or, well, women, and of course not a minority, but other unrepresented groups, every one person is more than simply themselves, they're representatives. We have in the department several women who are very, very active in outreach. One is a charismatic radio and TV presenter, young woman. That's very important for getting girls to appreciate that physics is not just a subject for men. I mean, that old stereotype is disappearing. But the most major stereotype in physics, role model, was Donna Strickland when she got the Nobel Prize in 2018. Now, the newspapers, the media, were full of mentioning the fact, emphasizing the fact that she's a woman. Of course, that's a good thing. But I want to say this. I look forward to the day when this will not be news. Okay. Now, may I say one more thing? Yes? A little personal. When my children were born 41 years ago and 36 years ago, my wife, who's a biologist, didn't want to stop working. The university kindergarten only accepted children from the age of 18 months. Now it's different, but then it was in. So we decided that because her laboratory was not a good place for children, my office was a good place for children. I'm a theorist, so I'm just writing. So I had those children in my office from 6 weeks to 18 months. First one, then the other. And I want to say that this was a very unusual thing for a man to do in those days. I was very nervous about it, but it was very successful. It was one of my most productive periods for research, and not every man can do this. If I'd been a bus driver or a policeman, it would not be possible. But it's possible for many more men than people realize, and it was a very productive and very worthwhile activity, and I think I commend this to other men if the circumstances are right. So this was independent of any paternity leave or maternity leave or any organizational arrangements, which is purely personal. We did it, and as a result of this, several other men in the department also brought their babies in for a few years afterwards. So it's not difficult. One needs to know various technical things. I won't lecture women on how to bring up children, but most men don't know it. So that's just a comment. Thank you.
对，我们要为Professor Betty.
Thank you so much. A round of applause indeed for Professor Berry, not only for your support for the women enterprise, but also I want to also bring this up, which is he was at a different session, but he specifically graced this forum with his presence. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Berry. I think the changes that you wanted to see happen, I think this is very, very inspiring. I think when we make presentations on changes that are taking place, right, we should highlight those changes. 23% of Nobel winners now are women. Oh, sorry, 3% are winners are women. But we want to highlight that we started from a very low number now to 3%. The stereotype has historical reasons, but we really need to highlight the progress. Dr. Moser also is a Nobel winner, laureate. Great. So we are actually going to segue into the next question, which we already touched upon slightly in our previous discussion. Dr. Berry has and many male support for women to participate in science, and we've already come a long way. However, there are still barriers that are preventing women from achieving their greatest, and that are preventing girls from becoming scientists. So the next question is how to spread the word, how to drive awareness in terms of the public discourse, in terms of the policy decision-making process that can pave the way for more girl participation in the fields of STEM. So on this very topic, I wanted to hear your thoughts, Professor Taiwan in particular. What barriers should we remove and how? Answer. Thank you so much for the question. I'm delighted to be here. The four keynote speakers, I think, shared with us their own life story about how important role model is. And Professor Michael Berry, I think, also put it very, very well, how a husband can help a wife to continue her scientific career by sharing some of the family burden. Now, I think being a role model can be on very different levels, from a national level, from the government level, right? There are various organizations that can become helpful. For example, China Women's Association of Science and Technology will be an example. Professor Wang Hongyang, who's among us, is as a chairwoman of this association. While this association is one of the 210 scientific societies of China, and the Women's Association of Science and Technology is the only one that is exclusively focused on female participation in science and in growth and development of female scientists. And the other thing is, we hope that there will be more activities, more engagement, such as the forum that we're having here, where there's going to be more awareness of the role and the contribution of female scientists in innovation and in science and technology. We all have our different backgrounds. For Michael, it's physics. My mine is biology, and perhaps I can share with you one example, my example. So I focus on the science of plants, and actually we set up a chapter, a biology chapter that is called the China Society of Plant Physiology and Plant Molecular Biology. I am the deputy director of that chapter, of that branch, and under the banner of this society, we would hold an annual meeting, a national annual meeting. And the reason why we want to do this is because rarely will we see female speakers who work in the field, who are invited to speak on those occasions. And through the this national event that we put together, we hope that young female scientists in particular and young principal investigators can become keynote speakers. And they can become more confident, they can build their network, they can reach out to more people who are in the same field, who are just like them, who are their peers. And among those speakers, we have already seen the emergence of many leaders and future leaders in the scientific community. And perhaps one of the most interesting activities that we organize is what's called the campus tour for female scientists. And we have organized over 50 or so of those sessions where we invite female scientists to speak to college students, especially in less developed regions of China. We want students as well as teachers and professors in those places to have face-to-face opportunities with those leading scientists, with those role models. And those activities were well received, and we've cumulatively reached over 35,000 people. And I believe what we have done is inspiring young people to become scientists. And our research institute also has what's known as a female committee. And through that committee at the research institute, we organize events where we invite Professor Kwang Tingyun as well as Professor Natasha Ranko to come and to provide their insights not only into the fields but also how to become a better female scientist. My personal experience told me that if I ever, if I had the experience of have face-to-face time with scientists, right, I could, it could have really led the way for me to become more successful in my career. And I had the privilege of meeting one of the big scientists in China at the time, Mao Yishen, which has had a lifelong impact on my journey to become a scientist. And therefore, I'm very enthusiastic about meeting face-to-face with young students today to encourage them in their participation of science. So I'd like to just recap by saying that everyone can serve as a role model as long as you devote your time, your effort to drive inspiration among young students, among young people, then you can have a really positive impact.
回忆起。
Yeah, thank you very much. It just reminds me that some times ago, among female college students, sometimes we even said that it is better to get married than to find a good job. Around this topic, we invited many female scientists to come to the campus. Many female scientists come, and we have rounds and rounds of activities like these. Yeah, so we are holding activities like these.
Yes.
Yes, I actually want to get back to the topic of children and babies, and having a child and raising a child is really hard work, and I think it has an impact on your productivity, and I think anybody who claims otherwise is not facing the truth, and I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by claiming that you just drop a baby and then you go off to work and everything is like it is before, because it isn't, no matter how strong your support system is. And I think us propagating this myth is intimidating to the young women who are thinking of starting families, because they will not be able to live up to that expectation because nobody can.
Thank you very much. Please, very short.
Yes, I'd like to add to that. Of course, you're absolutely correct, and I should have said that during this period when I had the babies in my office, my wife was feeding them. So at feeding time, she would come from her laboratory to my office, feed the babies, and then go away. So of course it was a shared thing, and it wasn't trivial, and I've no doubt that she probably would have been a bit more successful if she'd been a man, but we did our best.
Yes, we understood.
Yeah, actually, as a director of Female Association in our institute, I initiated a nursing room to allow all these young mothers to have their milk in the small room and save it in the refrigerator. They can feed the children when they go home. I think at that way they can really save a lot of time. They can come back to work normally. So I think we just need to think about them, like treat ourselves to help them in as much as we can. On the other hand, actually in China, we used to have a very good culture, like a grandmother took good care of the children. Like when I was growing up, my parents didn't have time to take good care of me, and my grandma took good care of me. So I think if we can continue this culture, we'll be benefit, or we can have extra time to work. And the grandma, they can spare their time to have a very good relationship with the third generation, maybe benefit for everyone.
And also they're happy to do that. Okay, Dr. Ruan Xiujun, do you want to say something? Please.
So I've been thinking why we do this. Yes, having children is difficult. I don't have children of my own, but have raised two boys for my partner. And you have only 8:30 to 4:45, right? And 5 days per week, so you have to fit in there. So it's really challenging. But I think I've been thinking we share at the faculty, at the scientists, the career, but also will be wonderful to share the experience in terms of, have a resources, in terms of nanny, in terms of raising a child, different periods in life of a baby and of the children. I think that also extremely helpful, besides sharing experience at the scientists, at the young faculty, or more senior faculty. Yeah.
Thank you. I finished my job. And now if somebody wants to say something, please free talking now. Or if there's a question in the audience, you can ask somebody to answer your question. Please. If no, there's one. Okay, please.
Thank you for a great talk. I'm a student from Shanghai Tech University, and I'm also doing my PhD program. And I have one question that, like me, if I finish my PhD in maybe about 27 or 28, if I want to go abroad or just in China, I want to do my postdoc. It's nearly about 30 or maybe even bigger than 30. So how to deal with this problem with my science and my research and maybe something in my life? Yeah. Is there any advice? Thank you.
Who want to? Oh, please. Professor Ran, thank you.
I came to America. I was 21 years old. I didn't speak English because I grew up in small villages in Vietnam. And I started PhD when I was 28 years old. And of course, my father said, "You're a girl, why do you need to go to school for that long?" And he preferred me to get married and have children. And so, but I kept trying. But, you know, do what you love and don't worry in the sense that, and you can do your postdoc, but you can have a career, but you can also have a family, and you need to have very supportive partner, like the message that multiple of our colleagues here have bring up.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. The girl in the middle or the young lady?
大家好，我叫毕玉芳。
Hello, I'm Bi Yufang. I'm a psychological consultant. In my career, there are many full-time moms. They feel they haven't been fully respected as a full-time mom because they have to ask their husbands for money. And there are also those strong female executives, and people would say they don't spend time in family. Academician Zhu said, we want to be confident. So I'm wondering, how can we really build confidence in female? Today is a really good opportunity, and I'm wondering any idea to share with us. How can we really build the confidence? Be confident and be positive. Thank you.
谢谢你的问题。
Thank you for the question.
Be the volunteer, please. 美芳。
我觉得是一个非常好的问题。
This is a very good question. Just to share with you my view. For example, for my college students, some are working, and there is one who is the full-time wife, and her husband is the student of her parents. So she didn't work anymore, and she spent the time on cultivating her child, and her child was admitted by Peking University as well. I think this is also a kind of life. We should respect the choices of everyone. She is happy as well. When I see her, I think she can cultivate a child to be so successful. She is also doing well, and she is very willing to help in our communities. So yeah, that's her idea. So I fully respect her for making such a choice. And the second, yeah, just like you said, for female like us, someone would say, yeah, see the Zhu Meifang, like for my son, when he was little, I didn't have too much time with him. When he was go out to study math, my colleagues would say, see, Zhu is so hardworking, but she didn't cultivate her son well. Like a librarian would say, I have a lot of time to be with the son, but because I didn't have time to be with my son every day, my son was kicked out of the math class. But I think I work hard. I'm also the role model of my son. He is not good at math, but he may be good at something else. My son now graduates from the university and does the things he loves to do. So I tell my colleagues that maybe we just do our best. Maybe we are not with the children every day. Even so, the children would not feel the pressure. So we just do the best of us, and you use your action to show you work hard. So your children should also work hard. I'm glad that my son also say, my mom is from the other field. but he said, you are lucky to do the things you like. My son is also asked by the media, do you hate your mom? You cannot see your mom every day. And my son said, I have my teachers. My mom has her students. My son's teacher loves him. I also love my students. We all do the things we like to do. No matter what others say, we just respect the choice or options of everyone. If she wants to be a full-time wife, let she be. And just like this question, there are many female students asking me, well, in the PhD students, do I find a career or have my family, etc.? I fully respect what Ran said. Well, just in this time, our suggestion is you should do both. Like I got my PhD in my 34, I got my son in my 26 years old. After I give birth to my son, I can still do a lot. When children grow up, they will also understand you.
Thank you, Mei Fang. I saw there's another woman, please, yeah? The woman in the middle, please. You can.
Thank you. I'm honored to ask a question, and I'm a high school student, and I'd like to ask a question is that although most high school students in Shanghai have the opportunity to get equal opportunity to learn STEM, but still I think there is a difference that most girls would put more efforts in biology study, while boys tend to pick physics or chemistry. So I'd like to ask you, is that still a gender gap, or it is just a normal thing? Thank you.
Maybe we can refer this question to Gong. Well, I think, yeah, indeed. It seems that it is true that some female students are not that good in math. So maybe what prohibits them from going to science is the math. So how can we teach science very well? Especially, we need to find the way to motivate the interest of female students into math. I don't think that it is absolutely the gender difference or male can do better than female. No, because I'm a teacher, so from education perspective, we also have stereotypes. We treat students all as male students, and we tell female students to be like male students. That is also a stereotype. We should find different teaching methods for male and female students. So from the very beginning, STEM can be suitable for both boys and girls. Boys and girls are different. Girls are special because they are different. Because they are different, so there are diversity. So we can encourage innovation. And not to let the girls just be like boys. They have their features to train them to be good scientists as well. So our education system should change, and so on our students.
Say something or agree with it?
So I'm trying to understand, is it true that girls do less well in math than boys? Because, is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying that the fact is that more girls, as far as I know, they put efforts in learning biology, but boys tend to put more efforts in learning physics and chemistry. And I want to ask, is that a gender gap, or it is something normal?
So, I mean, I don't know. Do you like chemistry? Do you like physics? Do you like something in the sciences that's not biology? Or are you following what you love? I'm trying to figure out, is it the way the courses are being taught?
Yes, I do love both physics and chemistry, but I find most of my classmates, of my schoolmates, even more high school students, they put more efforts in most girls put more effort in learning biology, but at the same time that boys put more effort in learning physics and chemistry.
I have no idea why that is. I loved math, and actually I liked math in high school better than I liked the sciences, but it reflected how the courses were being taught. And not until I got into the university did I see what real science was about. And it's true, if you take math classes, I think that's very important to do well in the biological sciences. What are experiments? The best experiments are interpreted in a quantitative way. It's better to do mechanistic, in my opinion, studies than it is to do correlative studies. And I think reproducibility is key. Statistics are now a very large, important aspect of biological sciences. So I would follow what you like right now, and I think things could change. They certainly did for me when I got to the university. And I also want to say another thing. Please don't, the younger folk, look at us and say, oh my gosh, I could never do that. Because when I was in high school, I had no idea of my capabilities. I didn't know what scientists were. And when I went to the university, I realized I loved it, but I was so quiet that my advisor at the university wouldn't let me apply to anything that wasn't a state school. It's a process. So just, take advantage of what you find that you enjoy most of the time. You're never going to enjoy anything 100% of the time. And it's not going to be easy, but that's true for other fields like architects. If they want to climb to the top of their field, it's difficult, but that's okay. So I would just say, take advantage of what you're learning right now. I wouldn't think of that as a gender bias per se, unless the courses are taught inequitably. I don't know the answer to that. And keep moving forward and find your own path.
Thank you.
And
Thank
Dr.
you.
Luger, you will. Yeah, I think what you might be alluding to is peer pressure and the fact that if you're a girl and you like math, you're perceived to be as weird. At least that's the way in the United States. And if you like STEM sciences, you're a tomboy, and the really cool girls don't like those kinds of things. And so it may more be related to peer pressure than to anything else.
Thank you so much.
So I have a suggestion for you, a research project. So you can try every time you see your female classmate or friend, ask them the question, why you prefer biology, why not physics or chemistry, and just to see, I would love to hear the answer they give you. And I agree that for me, I was terrified of physics for many years because of the teacher. And until my third year in college, that I met this professor, because the way he taught physics, he would explain how the car worked, how the microwave worked, how the toaster oven worked. So it really clicked in my mind, right? And just the way that he started to teach the subject, that really hooked. And I think the teacher also very important too.
这个说到这个化学和物
Thank you. On chemistry and physics, I think there's a great example, which is Madame Curie, who won Nobel Prize in physics and a second time in chemistry. So I think, as Carolyn mentioned, I think peer pressure is such an important thing for us to deal with. Just be the best version of yourself.
Over there.
Thank you very much for everyone. 我看到台上的
I am so inspired by the panelists here, especially the female scientists. And I think I learned a lot from your discussion today. I am an educator. I from Canton, South China. So I have two questions. First is for people who are in their 20s, they have this culture of lying flat, which is to say, they are well-to-do materially. They come from well-to-do families, but they think that I've already got everything, so I am not really gonna commit myself to anything, where I don't find the drive in anything. That's so how to deal with that as an educator. And second thing is, Professor Wang, and I'm a big fan of yours. And also, I heard your presentations as well. So when I was 12, I was already writing some stuff and some literary work that was published on a couple of magazines. And my question is really with the fragmented type of fast food culture that you see so often on the internet, maybe literary work is going to drive more perseverance, more long-term commitment, and whether what power do you see in literature? Thank you. So first on culture of lying flat among some young people today. Anyone wants to take on this one? Thank you. So on the culture of lying flat, I think it's about some young people thinking that they can be, and it will be impossible for them to become an outstanding person. I think it's really about just being the best of yourself. This kind of culture happens a lot when you have mediocre parents, but who have super high expectations for their kids. In my family, for example, I don't think we have this kind of culture because my kids know that their parents work very hard, and that's just the way of doing things. That's just the way that you should commit yourself in anything in life. Moderator, yes, indeed. So, culture of lying flat as well as this rat race culture, I think, are the two hottest topics, I think, in China, especially on the internet. And I think it's because of this rat race culture where competition is so cutthroat that some people are actually backfire and actually give up and they develop this culture of lying flat. Okay, so I think a lot of the times it's not really a culture of lying flat, because especially for kids who are still very young, it's just that they haven't found their calling yet. They're not as motivated just yet, and I think a lot of times it's about getting positive feedback for even the smallest progress that they make. It's about just the right parenting. It's just about right way of educating and encouraging those kids even for the smallest things that they have done. And I think it's this is not theory. This is really just praising them for every small little thing that they've done. And going back to your second question about your aspiration as an author, I remember when I was young, there's Chen Jingren's. I think it was almost like a documentary type of literary work, which documented how Chen Jingren, a Chinese mathematician, strove to achieve the pearl on the crown in mathematics. And I think that inspired a lot of young people. So I do believe in the power of literature. Great. So maybe I can add my thoughts here as well. On the two questions that you raised, the Gen Z, I think, that there's this a stereotype where people think they're different, they're somehow not motivated. I don't think so. Actually, I don't think they're lying flat. I think they're exposed to more information than we ever did when we were kids, when we were young. So I think a lot of those young people, they're very informed. Maybe they live a very comfortable life, and because when we were young, we didn't have much, and we naturally just wanted to work hard to get what we need, and what we want. But I think right now the motivation needs to be something different. I think it's about a new way of parenting. As a young mother, I think it's so important. Because education works on all levels, from society to school to, and ultimately to the family, to home. And I think it's about giving play to kids' potential. Let them find their passion. Let them do things that they truly enjoy. I think that's the most important thing. And secondly, I think if I understand your question, second question correctly, you were saying that people in STEM should get more exposed to science, to arts, to fine arts, and to literature. I think that's a great suggestion, because back then we didn't have that kind of access to information, but now I think if you want to become an all-round talent, right, you need to be exposed not only just to science, but I'm very confident in the potential of a new generation.
This women problem and the challenging and the contribution and the society, the correlation and the balance. Thanks you for your join us and for all your join us and very good question and answers. 我想呢，这个就是时间我要结束。
Fantastic. So, in the interest of time, we'll have to close the session today. But I think the topic of female scientists is such an important topic that is of interest to many people, and I hope that today's discussion is just a start. The world needs science, science needs women, and women need understanding, need support, and need confidence to tread their own path and to contribute to the world and to the development of science. I'd like to especially appreciate the presence of our established scientists who are here, and your schedule, I believe, is very packed during those days. But you set out the hour with us, and I truly want to appreciate your commitment. Thank you, and again, very much appreciated to our guest speakers who are from at home and from abroad. Thank you.
Again.